Hello everybody, my name is Miss Johnny Wellington. You can call me Johnny. I am here to share my gastric bypass experience. I want to do a series of videos and the step-by-step that I took to get to my decision and where I'm at today, because there are a couple of things that I learned along the way, both physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, that I had to learn, or that I learned, that I feel there are some things that some people don't talk about when it comes to making this decision. So let's get started. Step one was January of 2015 when my brother passed away. He was 38 years old. He went to sleep and didn't wake up. The autopsy said that he passed away from a coronary artery. So of course I kind of shook the family, and I had already had my physical and had some blood work done already, which put me at pre-diabetic and high cholesterol range. Fast forward to November of 2015, I finally had my physical. And as I was talking to the doctor, she says, "So Jeanette, you're here for your physical. Great. It shows here that you're still overweight. You have a pitting edema in your legs, which is my legs are swelling, basically. I'm pre-diabetic, have high cholesterol, and my blood pressure at that time was still high, was slightly elevated. And so she says, you know, you really need to do this gastric bypass." I tell the doctor, I don't want to do the gastric bypass. That is an easy way out. And she says, okay, well, let's go through your medical history. Whips over the computer and looks up the history, and she says, it says here that your grandmother is still alive. Yep, still alive. Your brother, you just told me about your brother. And your mother, you know, she passed away. And I said, yes. And she was like, at what age? And she said 59. I said, okay. And she slides the computer back over, and she looks at me and she says, you have a couple of choices here. You can try and go the natural way, which is the way that you've been trying to go, which is diet and exercise, but it hasn't been working for you. Just like you can get the gastric bypass and live longer than your brother. I think that even without the gastric bypass, you'll live longer than your brother. But I believe that if you don't get this gastric bypass and take your health seriously, you will not live past the age of your mother. Well, I didn't have any emotions except for water falling out of my eyes, because I didn't even feel like I was crying. So at the end of that visit, her nurse scheduled me an appointment with a specialist, because we have to get an approval for endocrinology and make sure that you have the specific qualifications to even be able to enroll in the program. So 1 month later, I see the specialist, the endocrinologist. Now, the endocrinologist had several things that he had to check for, which were pre-diabetic, hypertension, and high cholesterol. He then noticed my pitting edema in my legs. He also measured my neck, because you have to have a certain width in your neck in order for the certain measurement to compute. He also said it had something to do with the ripple of your skin. And you also had to have a BMI over 40%, and my BMI at that time was 44. So he checks, balances, does all of the above, and says, yes, you qualify. So now you have an option to do these three programs where one, do a shake only for about 4.5 months to 6 months, or you can do a Roux-en-Y sleeve, which is a little bit more intense than the gastric sleeve, or you can do the gastric sleeve, which is what it would be best suited for you. So I obviously chose the gastric sleeve. At this time, the reason why I was so against it and for it, the surgery itself, I was fighting myself. My why to do it was I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to live life. I wanted to be there for my kids. I wanted my kids to give me grandkids, and I can be a part of my grandchildren's life. I wanted life. I saw the beauty in life, and I knew that I needed to be it, but I didn't want the ridicule. I didn't want the judgment. I didn't want the backlash at that time of taking the easy way out. I didn't want that, because I wasn't emotionally prepared to handle what comes from it. So I really had a choice to make, whether I needed to make it in emotional or physical or mental, but I had a choice to make whether I was going to stay where I was at and risk my health, or I was going to move forward and take the risk in trying to be healthy. I made my choice. Now, don't get me wrong. It wasn't that I made my choice and I was like, oh yes, I'm going to do it. Oh no, this was hushed. This was extremely hushed. Because again, I had to face me. I had to deal with whatever came from what was going to come. Your ability to overcome yourself is not as easy as people may think. This fight for me, I knew, was not going to just be about the physical, but it was also the mental and the emotional. And was I ready for it? Yeah, no, I wasn't ready for it, but I had to become ready. I had to force myself into doing it, because honestly, if I didn't, I was going to die. That was my why. My drive, my want, my desire to be healthy and to live longer was bigger than any obstacle that was going to come my way. So I made the decision, and that is something that you should really take into consideration when making a decision like this, is find your why and find your why not. Why not do this for your life? Why not do this for yourself, your spouse, your kids, your mother, whomever is in your life? Why not? But also ask yourself why you should. Those are super key, extremely key in trying to make this decision, because it's not an easy decision. It's far from it. So that is my task to give you, is to find your why and why not, and to really make a decision based on that. My next video is going to touch a little bit more on the 12 weeks of counseling that we had to do. It was 6 weeks of nutritionist and 6 weeks of a psychologist, because it really is a mental as much as it is physical and emotional. For me, it became spiritual as well, but we'll touch on that a little bit more. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I've answered a few questions, and if not, please leave me a couple of questions in the comments. If not, then I will see you next video to discuss a couple of more things that I learned in my 12 weeks in journey prior to my decision in having the gastric bypass surgery. Thanks so much for watching.